John and Sandra. I'm Trace Gallagher in for Martha McCallum, who is on assignment right now on the story. New details on what Prince Harry and Meghan Markle characterize as a near catastrophic car chase in New York City. More on that with Neil Sean in moments. But first, President Biden says he is confident a deal will be reached to ultimately avoid possible default in 15 days. Here he is today without any mention of spending cuts. Watch.
To be clear, this negotiation is about the outlines of what the budget will look like, not about whether or not we're going to, in fact, pay our debts.
McCarthy says they will reach a deal, but says President Biden has left Congress in a race against the clock.
You know what I told the president 105 days ago when I sat in the Oval Office? I have no preconceived notion of what we have to do in the debt ceiling except two things. We're not going to raise taxes, and we're not going to pass a clean debt ceiling. But we have to spend less than we spent the last year. So let's sit down and talk about that. But he decided, no, I shouldn't negotiate with somebody. I'm just going to do what I want to do, my way or the highway.
President Biden has appointed his top aides to carry on negotiations while he's at the G7 this week. He is canceling the second leg of his trip in hopes to get a deal finalized before the U.S. goes into default. Congressman Jody Arrington of Texas is chair of the House Budget Committee. He joins me now. Congressman, it's great to have you on, as always. I want to play this soundbite because we talk about kind of this race against the clock, but part of the reason that they're racing against the clock is because, as Mitch McConnell points out, the president waited quite a while to actually get in the game. Watch.
Because it took the president 3 months to start dealing in reality, we now have a time problem. So I'm hopeful the president's team will join House Republicans to produce a responsible spending agreement to raise the debt ceiling.
Congressman, what is your take on what the minority leader calls the time problem?
Well, we listened to the president's own Secretary of Treasury when she said the window is closing and we're nearing the X date or the default date. And Republicans did what the vast majority of American people, both Republican and Democrat, expect their leaders to do. We acted responsibly, we acted with urgency, and we had a bill that was passed out of the House, sent to the Senate, that would raise the debt ceiling, pay our bills, protect the good faith and credit of the United States, and begin reining in the spending that's created this cost of living crisis and pushing us closer and closer to the precipice of a sovereign debt crisis. So the president needs to engage quickly. He's stalled for almost 100 days, and he's got to roll up his sleeves and get this deal done so that the American people can believe that their leaders actually are considering these important matters, not traveling the world and ignoring them.
You talk about rolling up your sleeves and getting the work done. The majority leader, Chuck Schumer, said this about red lines. Watch.
I asked the Speaker if he agreed that this needed to be a bipartisan process, and he said yes. Again, this, I believe, is a promising step in the right direction. Nobody will get everything they want in these discussions, and I hope nobody draws red lines in the sand.
Speaking of red lines, it looks like this work proposal for welfare recipients could be a sticking point. What do you think?
Well, it shouldn't be, because half the Democrats in '96 and the president at the time, Bill Clinton, signed this very policy into law, requiring able-bodied adults, not pregnant women, not disabled or elderly people, but able-bodied adults who are work capable to work if they receive public assistance. I think the vast majority of Americans think that's simple and straightforward. The vast majority of Democrats did at one time. I know their party has moved radically to the left, but this needs to happen for the people that are trapped in dependence. It needs to happen because we also have a labor shortage in this country.
Right. Yeah. And people are kind of wondering exactly what the timeline is going to be. We shall soon find out. Congressman, great to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you, Trace.
While a car chase that could have been catastrophic, Prince Harry